Welcome to Lighten Up. Socrates said the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Today we will discuss what it takes to build new habits. I think many people have the desire to eat well or to at least improve their eating habits and also to exercise regularly. Logically, it makes sense to people, but there tends to be a gap that exists between good intentions and action. The question is, why does this happen? Think of the habits you have at this time. What is your morning routine like? What do you do as soon as you get home from work? What do your meals and snacks look like? How often do you exercise? After answering these questions, it will be insightful for you to ask yourself how you started to establish these patterns. And repetition seems to be the key, but we often repeat our routines without thinking if this is really the course of action that is best for us. Sometimes we repeat patterns or establish habits because we are following the path of least resistance. To change a habit, start with one area of change at a time. You'll be more successful this way. Recognize what your true motivators are, and they will be different for each of us. Along with motivation, identifying barriers to change is essential. This might require some quiet time to think about the habit you want to change and what your motivators or barriers are. So this is the habit loop, and the cue tells the brain to go into an automatic mode and then let the behavior unwind. And the routine is the behavior itself, and the reward is something the brain likes that helps it to remember the habit for future use. So here's a very simple example of how the system works. You arrive at work, you get situated, and you see your big gulp cup on your desk. That's the cue. You see the cup and you buy a Coke from the vending machine or run to the 7-Eleven to fill your cup. That's the routine. You drink the Coke, it tastes great and gives you some pep for the morning. That's the reward. So some people believe that to change a habit, you just decide to break it. And this doesn't work. You actually need to change or replace each component of the habit loop to be successful. So here is an alternate path. You arrive at work, you get situated, and you see your water bottle on your desk. That's your cue. You grab your water bottle, you go to the break room and fill it with water, and then you add some cinnamon sticks that you keep in your desk drawer. That's the routine. You drink the water, it's refreshing, and it hydrates you more efficiently than the Coke. Proper hydration helps you feel alert for the work you have to do that morning. That's the reward, and then it also saves you some money. That's a reward too. So you can see the cues, the different cues in these two examples, the routines, and then the reward. So each component must be modified. And just if you are interested, these are some good reads on changing habits. You can just click here and enjoy the literature. So now I'd like you to think about a change that you'd like to make in your life right now. As you think of this change, we will review a model called the stages of change, also called the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. Researchers James Prochaska and Carlos Di Clemente suggest people pass through a series of 5 stages when attempting to change behavior. And the first stage is called pre-contemplation. And as the slide denotes, people might be unaware that there's a problem at all. They might not see a real reason to modify their behavior, or perhaps they underestimate the pros that would support behavior change. The next stage is contemplation. And in the contemplation stage, the intention to change exists. A person is starting to recognize that a behavior could be problematic. The pros and cons are still being considered, but the person is involving thought about the change that needs to take place. So an example of contemplation is getting some exercise is going to be good for you. You also know that you've had trouble in the past with consistency and finding the time to fit physical activity into your already busy schedule. You know you need to find a way to make exercise happen. You're just not sure how you're going to do it yet. So the next stage is preparation. And this stage is how you're going to overcome the questions and possible barriers that exist that relate to your goal. In our last example, I said maybe someone wants to exercise but needs help with consistency and fitting it into a busy schedule. The preparation stage involves setting yourself up so you can succeed. To help with consistency, maybe find a workout buddy or a group that can help with motivation and consistency. Perhaps you could ask your supervisor to come in a half an hour late and then stay a half an hour later so morning exercise can happen. It might take some brainstorming and rearranging to prepare, but a plan can materialize. The action phase is all about putting your plan into place. And in this stage, people have changed their behavior, and the definition of action is when you've done something for about 6 months and you intend to keep moving forward with that change. And these are just some ideas to help you understand if you're in the action stage, you're adjusting to how it feels to eat differently or to be more active. You've been troubleshooting to maybe tweak a few things to help your success. And you're also brainstorming about ways you can keep up the actions that you have already put into place. And then the maintenance phase follows. And in this stage, you have sustained behavior for a while. And again, that definition can be about 6 months. And your intention is to maintain this new behavior. You've put it into action, and now it's just what you do. And then you also are aware that relapse can happen. We're all human. We're dynamic individuals with dynamic lives, meaning change happens. And so we are aware of the possibility of sliding backwards, and that's okay. It's just awareness and then taking the steps to move forward even after a little setback can take place. Okay, so did you find your stage of change? When you think of a health goal that you would like to work on, where are you at? It's helpful to identify where you are in the change process so you can start to work through barriers. Okay. So now, just so you know, to be sensitive to your time, I skip through slides a little bit. The slides are here for you. You can look at everything and gain information from everything on the slides, but we like to keep these webinars to about a half an hour, and so I do skip through, and that's okay because you have the information in the PowerPoint slides. So I've just moved on to a pros and cons list, and delineating pros and cons in regards to change can be very helpful in the brainstorming process. So here are some pros and cons to physical activity. You might know that physical activity is going to improve your health. You know that it can help to decrease health problems. You know that it can make you strong. You think to yourself, it's probably fun. it could help maintain a healthy weight. So you make this list of pros according to your goal, and then you need to be realistic about what some of the cons are too. That's important because that's going to help you work through change. So maybe some of the cons include it takes too much time to exercise. I'm already busy. Maybe you think exercise is boring. Maybe you think it costs too much, or exercise, when you think of exercise, you might say to yourself, oh, I'm just not good to it. So, or good at it. So make a list of your pros and cons. Okay, so then this example is regarding healthy food choices. And I did the same thing. I just put some examples of pros to eating healthier foods and then some cons. And you might not think, oh, are there any cons to eating healthier foods? Well, maybe you think they're too expensive. Maybe you think they don't taste good. Maybe this means that you have to give up all the foods that you love. So don't be afraid to list some of these things, even though when we hear these positive ideas for healthy living, you might not think that there are cons, but you need to, as I mentioned, be realistic about what your cons are. And so your solutions don't need to be perfect. You can start brainstorming, but I think the most important thing is you need to believe that there are ways to overcome your barriers, no matter how difficult they may seem. And one of the keys is thinking about the benefit of whatever your goal is and how this is going to relate to you personally in your life. As I said earlier, we're all very different and unique. And it's important to understand what is going to mean something to you. The thing that I would like to point out about this slide is I really like to encourage people to focus on small steps. Often when we decide we're going to make a change, even if it resonates with us and we're excited about it, we tend to overestimate what we can do. And then we become discouraged because it doesn't quite materialize like we think that it should. So I encourage you with change to focus on small steps to change. They are more realistic and more manageable than goals that might seem too lofty. One thing that we often forget to do when we are working through the stages of change, and specifically in this preparation stage, is to ask friends and family for support. I think it's just human nature to think, oh, I have to just do this on my own, but asking for support can be so key to success in changing behaviors and habits. Friends can be supportive. Families can be supportive. You need to verbalize your goals and say, this is what my plan is. This is really important to me. It's going to be better for my health. It could even help our whole family. It could cross over into helping our whole family. I need your support. How can we make this happen? So don't be afraid to ask for that support. And then as far as a reward, think of something that encourages you to be healthy. And maybe it's a form of stress management like a massage, or a new piece of exercise clothing, or signing up for a fun class, exercise or otherwise. So think of these rewards in terms of something that's going to benefit your health, whether it's mental health or your physical health. I love the idea of journaling because it gives you objective feedback as to what has actually worked for you and then what hasn't worked for you. And it should not be, this isn't a punitive exercise. It's objective. It's objective data. And then as you track what you're doing and what works and doesn't work, it's just reinforcement to help you move forward and progress with the goals that you have in mind. So journaling can be such a great step, and it doesn't have to be lengthy. A barrier to journaling for some people is, oh my goodness, it's going to take too much time. It does not have to take a lot of time. It can just be some simple note taking, but it can be very helpful. Okay, so let's talk about some of the barriers and what we can do about them, so the solutions. And this one, I think this is a universal barrier that people think exists, and our lives are busy, and so it's a realistic one as well. But okay, so you don't have time. You want to be healthier, you want to exercise, but you just don't have time. And one suggestion or thought about this is, as an example with physical activity, think about your activities of daily life as part of your physical activity program. Often we think, okay, I need to exercise, I'm going to go to the gym. And it doesn't really need to be that. You can take a brisk walk on your lunch. You can walk or park farther away at a store and get more walking in that way. Even things like gardening and house cleaning at least get you up and moving around. I read the book French Women Don't Get Fat by Mireille Juliano, and one of her big encouragements is exactly what I've been talking about. Don't think you have to go to the gym to be physically active. Find ways in your daily life to include walking and activity, and that can really help with achieving your exercise goals. So don't be afraid to think out of the box when it comes to just being more active on a regular basis. In her book, Mireille gave the example. She said, I don't go to the gym. I just make sure that on my lunch I include a 40-minute brisk walk if I have to do an errand, or if I just want to get out and get a breath of fresh air. I just include it in my daily life. She doesn't like to change her clothes to work out. She just wants it. She wanted it to be part of her day. And some people really feel that way. So that's a way that you can approach the barrier of, I don't have time. Just one example. Another barrier could be it costs too much. You think of gym memberships and exercise equipment. And a solution to this is just buy a decent pair of shoes. Shoes that feel comfortable, that allow you to move and walk. And if you can do that, then you can move, you can walk, you can jog. It doesn't have to be expensive. You can go to a local park and use the things there for pull-ups or push-ups. There are lots of resistance exercises that just use your own body weight. Think of solutions that don't involve spending money concerning fancy exercise equipment or gym memberships. If you want to purchase some simple dumbbells or hand weights or kettlebells, you can do that. But it doesn't have to be an extensive list of things that you need to acquire to be physically fit. If this is pertaining to food costing too much, and I often hear people say, well, fresh vegetables cost too much. Buy in season, that's a solution. And another simple solution is utilize frozen vegetables. They are often picked at peak, and they're fresh and just as good as fresh, and they can be less expensive. Maybe buying in bulk is an answer. You tend to save money when you buy in bulk. And if you think, well, I don't need that much, then find a buddy and split it. That can save money too. So these are just some solutions to the barriers of exercise or eating healthy costs too much. So a barrier to I can't make this change alone could be recruit others to be active with you. And there is strength in numbers. In school, think about when you were in school, grade school or whatever. You were afraid to ask a question because you thought it might sound dumb. But in reality, other kids in the class had the same question. So regarding a healthy lifestyle, there are always other people who want to exercise and eat better, and they need support as well. So don't be afraid to get the word out. Ask friends or family members or a coworker if they're interested in joining forces to live a healthier life. You'll be pleasantly surprised when others are interested and willing, and that can be a great source of support in your endeavors to change. A barrier could be you just don't like physical activity. And as I mentioned, when we say the words physical activity, the first things that can enter the mind include gyms, treadmills, grueling workouts. If you like these things, if you enjoy the gym or higher intensity classes like CrossFit, great. If you don't, that's okay too. So the key to physical activity, longevity, and success is to enjoy what you do. And don't be afraid to try something new. There are lots of fitness classes. Zumba is, I think, familiar to most. There's always something new. Bali X is one of them, and Bali X it combines choreography with upbeat music from around the world. So you're not only exercising, but you're dancing, you're having fun. There are other classes like water aerobics or spin classes if you'd like to bike. And the thing about this is you can always modify what to do so it fits your level, so you progress naturally. And the other thing is no one cares what level you're at. People go to exercise and to enjoy physical activity. They're not judging. You go at your level and enjoy it. That is key. And then a barrier to eating well could be, well, I just don't like healthy foods. And what I like to tell people is healthy food can taste good. The key is to find some websites and cookbooks that you really like that include healthy ways to prepare food. And they are out there. And we have included these resources in our other webinars. So you have those things available to look at, but you can Google healthy, tasty recipes and lots of things will pop up, and then you can just choose what sounds good to you. So don't think that healthy doesn't taste good. It's just about finding the resources to prepare the foods you enjoy in just a healthier way. Perhaps a barrier to physical activity is you just don't know enough about it, or with food, maybe you don't feel proficient in cooking or preparing healthy food. And the encouragement here is to ask. Ask friends. Talk to somebody at a gym. Ask a registered dietitian. Be aware and mindful of people who have had success and ask them what they've done and what their tips are. Don't be afraid to be an investigator regarding these things. Be inquisitive, and you will find good tips and solutions if you feel like you are not in the know about your goal. Okay. A barrier for motivation is to think about what truly motivates you. Often we automatically look at surface type motivators, meaning, oh, I just need to lose weight, or I need to eat better. If you dig a little deeper, you might find more meaningful motivators like, I'd like to take less medication. Or I'd like to play with my kids or my grandkids without feeling tired. Or I'd just like to have more energy. More meaningful motivators can lead to better success with goal achievement. So all of these things we've talked about help you prepare. When you're in the action stage, you're ready to take your knowledge of preparation and just go for it. You're not going to worry about perfection. You are okay with trial and error, but you are going to act. And that in and of itself can be rewarding, just making that step. Here again, just a reminder that you can record what's working for you, and you can also record what's not working for you. You can notice trends in your day, and maybe some barriers that creep in, and then you can just make some adjustments. So journaling is helpful. And just another encouragement for support, ask a family or a friend, family member or a friend for help when you need it. And a key here is to plan ahead. If you can plan ahead just a little bit, you can really work through, or you can find solutions to your barriers. So one thing that I do is I like to check the weather and see what the weather's going to be like. And that can dictate if I am going to take a good walk outside or if I need to find something to do inside. So just be aware of things that can affect your day and make small plans so you can make your goals happen. And then don't forget to reward yourself. That's really important, and that's part of the habit loop. You can't eliminate a component to truly be successful. You need to make sure you reward yourself. Be careful with negativity. We have lots of thoughts going through our minds all day long, and negative thoughts really can creep in, and they can really be a barrier to positive movement forward. So catch them and then rephrase. Oh, I stink at this class. Well, take that negative thought and say, I'm here having fun, and I have put effort into moving. I am a success. So those are just ideas of how to take a negative thought and just put a positive spin on it. And when you move to that maintenance stage where this has just become a more natural part of your life, be aware that you do need to keep things interesting. We get into routines, and healthy routines can become boring. And so it's variety is the spice of life. It's essential to find something new, a new recipe or a new class or just a new path to walk on. Keep things mixed up, and that is going to help you avoid that boredom, and you'll be more encouraged and more excited to follow through with your goals and to stay within that maintenance stage. Okay, so how to deal with unexpected setbacks. They all happen. Setbacks happen. So we talked about some ways checking the weather. Think about how you're going to eat when you're traveling or dining out. Luckily, there are lots of things on the internet that can help us. So healthy choices in restaurants. You can do a little sleuthing before you dine out to see what options are available at your favorite restaurant that might be a little more healthy. And then just remember, setbacks happen to everyone. Don't give up. Do not let that get in your way. It's not all or nothing. One little setback doesn't mean that it's a total failure. No way. Setbacks are just part of being human. And then challenge yourself. When you feel like you have mastered a goal, go to the next level. That makes things interesting. If you're a great walker, if you've really picked up the pace, then add some strength training. If you've made some modifications with your diet, maybe you've cut back on foods that affect cholesterol, maybe you work on decreasing sugar. in some ways. So don't be afraid to challenge yourself. Just remember, small steps with those challenges will be more beneficial. And then in closing, remember that this is about our lifestyle, lifelong behaviors, not just a one-time event, not just a fad diet, not a quick fix. This is about longevity, and keep your eye on your efforts, be positive, make adjustments, and you will enjoy the journey. That's just as important. It's not always about the end result. It's about, yes, the end result, but enjoying the path that leads to healthy change. So hopefully you have enjoyed this information and it's been helpful for you. I do include resources that you're able to just view and see where this information came from. And good luck. You can do it.